This is David Andrew Wiebe Interviews and Music Business Podcast, episode number 10 for April 30th, 2010. And joining me today is photographer Keith Skrastins. How are you today, Keith?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I'm a little under the weather today, but I'm feeling better now.
Don't stay away from me.
Yeah. Well, I don't have a cold or anything. It's just the sudden weather change caused a migraine, you know. So.
Yeah, I was feeling horrible yesterday with that too.
Oh, you were, eh?
Yeah, but yeah, just, as long as you're not sick, I only get sick like once a year, so
yeah.
So let's hope that you're not my annual sickness.
Yeah.
Just hanging out with you sick, anyways, man. It's awesome.
True that.
Sick in a good way.
Yeah.
Sick in a good way. Like, oh, that dog, he's so sick. I'd like to start off by saying that I gave David Andrew Wiebe his nickname.
That's
Digital
right.
Audio Workstation, the DAW. We call him the DAW because he is the DAW. And I will let him take over the interview now.
All right, cool, man. Well, Keith is a photographer and graphic designer extraordinaire. He's a big supporter of the local indie scene and has even tried his hand at publishing an indie music magazine. But these days you're spending more time behind a camera, is that right?
Yes, I'm focusing more on the art of indie photography.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that I can portray the indie scene, the musicians, and the scene players within the scene better by using my strong points as an asset to the scene on a whole. And that's why I do the photography. Like before, it was just a magazine. We were having fun. We were getting a field. We were doing jack of all trades here and there.
Yeah.
I'm doing the magazine, and then finally, just a real epiphany, like a real light bulb in the head, saying like I should just stick to the photography and help out that way. And so yeah.
So that transition's been a healthy one?
Yeah, very. I feel like the weight of the world's been lifted off my shoulders. So yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, totally.
So you've spent a lot of time photographing the indie music scene. Talk about some of your more memorable experiences.
It was a warm, like, no, not warm. It was stifling hot. It was a stifling hot July night. And there was this band called Frankie McQueen.
Mm-hmm.
They were playing at the Rusty Cage, and it was the it used to be Fuel 90.3. Now it's Amp 90.3. It was their rock star contest. It was the finals. They were up against Stony Mary, the Shagbots, 40 Gun Flagship, Wax Poets, and then Frankie McQueen. And I remember I pretty much, the place was so crowded that night that when Frankie McQueen was playing, I was pretty much stuck on the stage with them the whole set. And I remember some of the like the really epic notes, or the epic parts of their songs, and I was photographing them, and I see this crowd of like 500 to 1,000 people, and they're all there to just rock out. And to be on stage and capturing these guys winning $200,000 was just something that was really, really, really. I felt the importance of it. As well, a week before that was Volcom Fist, which that was just a day of just amazing fun. And some of my best photographs I've got from there. Volcom Fist is this festival where all these Calgary indie bands, pretty much Calgary's Woodstock, all these Calgary indie bands come to the middle of this canola field near Vulcan, and it's this green space by a barn and a house, and then the back area behind the barn is where we set up a stage and had our crowd. The turnout was pretty good, and it was just a fun day. Like, we just had so much fun, and some of my best photographs got captured there. Like my Last Supper 2009 picture got captured there, which is two people playing beer pong, and it reminded me of the painting The Last Supper when I edited it. So yeah, what other moments? I remember following the Nick Dixons down to Lethbridge with the first magazine that I was working with, IndieCalgary.com.
Yeah.
And the Nick Dixons are a fun group to be around, but when you travel with them, it's even more fun, because I've even traveled with them to Vulcan as well, and it's just it was just a really neat experience. Like, we were pretty much up for 20 hours straight in a 25-hour period. We went from Calgary to Lethbridge to Calgary within 30 hours, and it was just a whirlwind tour. It was just amazing. It was so much fun. I really like the fact that when I get to experience or share an experience with one of the bands, you get to learn more about them personally and why the music is what the music is.
Yeah.
When you do that, like even with you, hanging out with you, David, I know what your music is about because I know you on a personal level and a personal note.
Right.
And that makes the music all the more special. Like it makes it much more special. So yeah.
So Volcom Fist is relatively new, isn't it?
It was last year.
Right.
Last year, and I did some graphic work for them this year, and they were pretty excited about that. They loved the photos that I did last year, and I love taking them. I love taking them because it was just amazing. But yeah, it was just one of the musicians from Our Hearts Are Big and his dad. They created Volcom Fist.
Mm-hmm.
And at first, it was the day progressed a little slowly. Like people were just steadily coming in. And by the end of the night, it was freezing cold, and it was awesome. There was just tons of people. We had a good time. People were camping out. It was the closest to Woodstock the Calgary scene could get,
Yeah.
and chronologically and feel wise. So it was pretty neat. It was pretty neat. Yeah.
So it's looking like it'll be an annual thing.
Yeah, and this year's even better. They have like a really good lineup coming up, and I'm really super stoked.
Mm-hmm.
I have a few ideas photographically for the festival, and we'll be breaking those ideas out later.
Right.
They're still in development, so I'm working on them. Yeah. And yeah, so it's a pretty new festival, but I think that it could gain some steam,
Mm-hmm.
and it's capturing some more attention from other people, because I think last year people just said, "Oh, it's just a festival, just whatever type thing." But the ones and the ones who did take part last year were really die hard in the scene. So let's hope that this turns into an annual thing and more. But there are more events just in Volcom Fest that are happening. Like there are tons, and like last year was they had Tron Fest. It was like this huge house party, and Moot held it, and he holds lots of events in Calgary, and he's really active within the scene and getting things done, and Tron Fest was just one of the first ones that really happened. Like they had it's a pretty neat band. And it was like this backyard party with like there was everything from porta potties to taco stands to beer gardens, stuff like that. So
Right on.
it was really neat. So and then later in the summer he held a thing called the Artist Collective, and he got artists and bands to come into the community hall and play. And then in November he had the Artist Collective, the one that you attended and the one that you took part in by getting your photograph taken when I did the Invincible
Right.
series. He took a art gallery and had people hang in Art Life. He had people hang artists hang their works on the wall in Art Life, and then in the other room he had bands playing. So that was pretty neat. Like it's like what we have to do as a scene is we have to really step out of the box and not just make a show, but add other components to the show to have other demographics come to that. So you may have your band lovers, but you have the art lovers. You put art with the bands. The art lovers are going to come see the art and the bands as well. So we need to do more diverse type shows, and that's what Mood is doing, which is a really good thing. So
Right. So it sounds like one of the more fun parts is getting to know different people
Yeah.
in the scene.
yeah, it is.
Cool.
It is, and just the way that I met you was just such a weird experience. I go to Elijah's because Emily and Elijah invite me over for dinner, and they said, "Bring your camera, we can have fun while we jam and stuff." So then you come over, start jamming, and then I take my favorite picture that I've ever taken. We should even put that picture up just for the podcast viewers to see. I'll send that to you.
That's a good idea.
It's this really interesting. It's one of my favorite pictures I've ever taken in my whole life. It's a picture of Elijah's head blurred in the foreground on the far right corner, and then in the center, Emily's standing up, and David is sitting down on the ground in front of the coffee table, and Emily's playing with David's hair, and they're fully in focus, but in the background. And that is just one of the most feeling pictures I've ever seen. It was really, really good. And that was the first night you and I met, and then it just snowballed from there. So yeah, stoked on that. Yeah, it's awesome.
It's a really neat photo, and I have to brag on you because you are probably the only photographer that's been able to capture me in the way that I would like. So,
well, thank you. Wow, that's pretty deep. I like that.
high compliments.
Props. Yeah.
So, aside from like photographing different shows, what would you say is like you've been your favorite concert?
I really liked Noel Johnson's first CD release party. Because and what was the name of that album? It was the first CD that I know of. I'm pretty sure it was his first CD, but it was Hell of a Dog and Duck, and that was one of my favorite concerts because that was one of the first shows that I ever really got to photograph, and I photographed. We went and interviewed Noel down in the basement for Indie Calgary, and I photographed Noel as the interview was going on, and then we went upstairs and we heard Electric Monk play. Mm-hmm. Met the Lions for the first time,
right,
and then heard Noel play, and that was just a really neat night. And then another time was the first night that we met Frankie McQueen and the Shagbots, and that was at the old Brickyard, which is now Vinyl. And it was pretty neat because I see these younger guys, and they're like 18 to 20 something guy, and I said, "Whoa, these guys are pretty young. I wonder how they're gonna play." And the minute I heard Frankie McQueen play, I just fell in love with them. They were just an awesome band, and they were just amazing. And that night was a real networking night because that night we met 40 on Flagship, we met Matt Blay, we met Tyler Deere from Silent Panic, we met all of these bands that I am now associated with or friends with. We met that night. And it's not a matter of like what show was the best and who played the best and who was your favorite. It was the memory that's attached to that. And like my favorite memories are like, there's the whole Nick Dixon song "Working on the Weekend," and that started getting coined to be like my song because I was always at every show photographing and I was working on the weekend, and that's the truth though. Like you start on a Wednesday night, go to the Wednesday night shows, you get home at like 1, 2 in the morning, then you go to bed, you go to the Thursday night shows, and then you go to bed, then you wake up in the afternoon, and then slowly as you get to Sunday, you start waking up later and later and later and coming home earlier and earlier in the morning. And so there were some nights in the summer, there's some days in the summertime, like Stampede, when we were really hitting the pavement hard, is that we were waking up at 10 o'clock in the morning and then going and editing until evening, or working on stuff till evening, and then staying out till 5, 6 in the morning. And so it's a rough life to live, but it's a hell of it's fun. It's fun.
No kidding.
I'm glad I didn't do my partying in my early 20s, and I'm doing it in my late 20s instead. So
I guess it's a bit like being on tour for a band, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, it's fun.
Talk about your experience being a creative entrepreneur.
Yes, I am one, and it took some time to get there. The problem with today's society is, as soon as we pick something up, we automatically say we are that title. Like you can never paint a painting in your life, but you pick up a paintbrush and buy a canvas, and then you automatically call yourself a painter. Right. That's because we live in such an instantaneous society that we have to do that. Like there are people sticking their hand in camera boxes, and before they can even crack the bubble wrap, they go, "I'm a photographer." And here we go into business here. What is difficult about being a creative entrepreneur is you have to prove yourself to be better than the pseudo ones, the ones who say that they are, but they really aren't.
Right.
And like I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. Mainly, my first business I had when I was 18, 19 years old, and I was cleaning airplanes, and that was an interesting business. And then I moved into filmmaking, like just the whole idea of it. And then filmmaking, I found photography. And then, but what I did is I honed my craft before I actually jumped into the creative entrepreneurship. Right. Like that. And what I did was I took my time, I found what my niche market would be, or what my market would be. And I'm not your wedding photographer. I'm not a family photographer. I'm not your family portrait kind of thing. I am in the nitty gritty. I got to be in the art scene. I got to be documenting things. And to be honest with you, my dream job would be a combat photographer. Yeah, it sounds stupid, but like there would be nothing in the world like strapping on a flak jacket, putting on an army helmet, and jumping out of a helicopter with a squad of troops with your camera in hand. That is my dream job. That's pretty neat. And there are some of my favorite photographs and photographers are combat photographers. And but as for the business of of it. It's just you got to find what you're good at. Not only find what craft you're good at, but find what subject matter you're good at as well. Because I could easily have been photographing coffee cups for the next 5 years and saying, yeah, I'm a good coffee cup photographer. But I took the chance and started going to shows and photographing bands.
Right.
And people they were very receptive to my work, and they liked my work. So
Yep.
so yeah, I got to roll with it. Yeah. Are we going good today? Are we going good?
No, this is
good.
great. This is
Good.
So you've had a good chance to be in and around the Calgary scene. Are
Yeah.
there any other scenes that have kind of struck you as being interesting, or you might want to visit someday?
Go on a time machine and visit the 1990s Seattle scene. Calgary has the possibility of that, or a late 1960s London counterculture. We could do it. We just gotta stay strong, and we gotta have the whole unity through information. As long as we stay informed with each other and bonded and not fighting against each other, then we could easily achieve that. But there are a few people paving that way, and
I agree with that.
yeah, there are. Yeah. So.
I think this is a struggle for most artists, but do you find it difficult to balance your time in terms of creative work and other daily responsibilities?
My place is a mess. I have no girlfriend, but I am looking. I was almost late for this thing because I was worried because I was working on an album cover.
Yeah.
And I even called you and said, David, I'm sorry. I'm gonna be 5 minutes late. I've been working like 5 days on this album cover. I was like, so the sad thing is my priorities are the art over life.
Yeah.
No, not really art over life, but you know what I mean. It's just that I'm very dedicated to what I do and how I do it.
Yeah.
That sometimes it could be perceived as it conflicts with my daily going on, but I still manage to, like, I work out at home. I still manage to get up, go to my computer, turn my computer on, review my emails, and then get dressed, go to the coffee shop down the street, grab my Americano for the day or the evening or the morning. I mean,
yeah.
Grab my Americano for the morning, and then come back and then reply to those emails and start on the daily work.
Right.
And so as long as I can break my day up by going out different places or doing different things. Like, I'll even make note, like, when the computer is driving me nuts or the camera's driving me nuts, I will put it down and I'll go to my parents' place to visit my dogs.
That makes sense.
And not even to see them or anything, just to see my dogs, because I need a break from that. And I know that my parents' place doesn't have Photoshop or Canon software or anything Mac or Apple or any just strictly internet and solitaire. So unless I wanted to edit photos on Microsoft Paint, but I'm way past that now. With the pixel brush or whatever you call it.
I remember that.
Yeah. So it's good.
Well, yeah, I know what that's like too. Like, I would like to keep my house in better shape than it is, but
you've seen my place.
Yeah, you do what you can.
Hiroshima, right?
Yeah.
Like they're like little dust bunnies with signs saying in need of aid. Like,
right.
No, I'm just joking. No, my house isn't that bad.
Yeah.
I'm more cluttered than anything. I like to collect stuff. Like,
yeah.
I'm not a hoarder, but I like to collect stuff. Like, I have like vintage cameras, vintage. I collect a lot of like those little ceramic Chinese golden cats. And I have one right now, but I'm looking to buy more. I have bamboo arrangements. I have dried twig arrangements. My place is very eclectic, isn't it?
Yeah.
It has like a mixture of everything from Soviet propaganda art to local show posters.
Right.
So yeah, it's pretty neat. Yeah.
Talk about your love of photography. What really kind of makes you tick about taking pictures?
Okay, well, first off, I have July 1984's issue of National Geographic, the picture of the Afghan woman with the green eyes. Mm-hmm. I have a picture. Not a picture, but I have the actual National Geographic first edition issue framed on my wall in my place.
Right.
That's one of the reasons why I became a photographer. Back when I was cleaning airplanes, when the British liberated Basra, Iraq, there's a picture in the National Post of this British woman soldier walking down this narrow, probably 4-foot alleyway, and she's surrounded by Iraqi men holding roses to her. And I was like, man, if I could capture stuff like that, that would just be epic. That would just be amazing if I could capture stuff like that. And so I've always had a love of film. And so my friend Scott and I, we wrote this script, and we created this film called A Year in October. And we called it A Year in October because we shot 2 days in October, and it took us a year to make. Yeah, that's what happens when you don't know how to work Adobe Premiere Pro when you first start out, and then you're going to try and figure it out. So.
Don't I know the frustration of that?
Yeah. No, not fade out. No. So we're making this film, and what it was about 3 characters. It was 2 males and a female. The female was girlfriend to the one male and sister to the other male, and the 2 males were like best friends. And it took place in Soviet Russia. No, not Soviet. It took place in the Soviet Union, and they were part of a rebel group, like a rebellion. And what happened was the 2 males got drafted into the army. And then the next scene, we started off in an apartment when the secret police came to get them, and then we moved on to the battlefield, where we simulated the planes of the Soviet planes of Russia by using Nose Hill Park. And we went to the one part of Nose Hill Park where you couldn't see any city at all. It just looked all prairie. And pretty much what we did is we did like a 360 with the camera. We shot each scene. We just turned the camera a bit, so we had like a different degree of location. And so it's like early in the morning, and we're standing outside the set. It's freezing cold. It's October. It's a cold October morning, and Scott, one of the actors, and the other actress were standing in frame of the professional motion picture grade camera we had. And I looked into the eyepiece, and then I looked away, and then I looked around, and I go, man, this is a lot of time and money for one piece of art. Like it's been many months into it, and this is how much it's cost us, so much time it's cost us. Yeah, and then I looked in the eyepiece again, and I saw the 3 people again. Yeah. I said, that'd make a good photograph. I said, from now on, I'll be a photographer. And so I did that, and then after that project was done, I picked up my dad's 35mm camera with an 50mm f2.8, which is a horrible aperture for that size of lens, and Black's, what do you call it? Black's processing included film, and I just started loading the camera, spending the film, loading the camera, spending the film, and I was doing it all by trial and error. And then thank God Black's prints, you can burn the negatives onto a CD. And I was putting the CD that the Blacks gave me, the CD of my photos, and putting them into this 10-year-old laptop with bootleg version CS2 of Photoshop.
Right.
And I learned how to edit off that. And then I moved up to a bigger computer, a gamer computer, and then a better camera, and all this stuff. So I like to think I've really earned where I've become, and I've earned the love of photography, because I've had a lot of bad roles. I've had a lot of bad shoots. I've had a lot of good shoots too. Yep. A lot of good roles. But it's just that, like, I've always taken, and I was highly criticized when I started out.
Yeah. And
I was highly criticized, and I managed to take those criticisms and build on them and work with them.
Makes sense.
So yeah. But my love of photography comes from the capturing the moment. It's not the aesthetic that I'm concerned about. The aesthetic is only 25% or 50% of the image. It is the feel, the mood, the emotion that you're evoking when showing that image.
Right.
And there's this one image, one of my favorite photographs. It was taken by Leonard, or his last name was Leonard, or his first name was Leonard, and it was a picture of 4 Israeli soldiers just before the Yom Kippur War, during the Yom Kippur War, and it was on the left there was a male soldier and a female soldier laughing, and they're talking to each other laughing, and it's in this vast area, like there's pictures in this vast area, but it's a little more close up. Then on the right side there is a female soldier with her hand interlocked with another male soldier, and they're each looking off to a different side. And what the story behind this photo was that during that time, the women Israeli soldiers were not allowed to go into battle. So the two women were saying goodbye to the male soldiers, their boyfriends, before they went into battle, and they'd stay behind at the base or whatever. And that picture is one of my favorite pictures ever taken. And it's things like that. It's moments like that I like to capture, like capturing that beer pong picture, like the Last Supper. That was just amazing. Capturing your moment, that was amazing. What other photographs do I have that are just awesome? There's this one of Scotty Charles from Frankie McQueen. He's just standing there looking off into the crowd. And it is such a powerful image. Yeah, so, yeah.
That's cool.
And then some of my portraits that I've done, like for the Invincible series, those were amazing as well, because I really captured the person's essence, the person's spirit, when doing that. Like, and I have no favorite out of the whole series because they're all my favorites.
Right.
So yeah, like they're all my babies. So yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
What would you say is your connection with music, and how does it influence your art?
My connection with music. I've always been a huge fan of music, and someone asked me a similar question, and I said to the person, I can't sing, I can't write, I can't play, so I'll photograph it. Right there. Huh. So, and that's the shortest answer I'll give.
Cool. What are some of your favorite musicians to listen to?
Indie or just in general? I
guess in general, yeah, any.
Okay. Oasis. Nothing like the Gallagher brothers. Nothing like them. They're awesome. I have a guilty pleasure of early 2000s UK disco. For some reason, it just sounds like so glitzy and glamorous. It's just, I don't know. It's just really, really neat. And like, what else? So like some of my favorite albums are like definitely Maybe by Oasis and Fleetwood Mac Rumors. I like almost everything. Like what do I have? I like everything from. For a while there, when I started doing the indie thing, I was just listening to all indie. But now I've kind of taken a step back and started listening to everything again. I'm trying to think. I like a lot of the older stuff though, like I said, like Fleetwood Mac, Stevie Nicks. I love INXS. I just love INXS.
Yeah, they're a fun band.
They're just, but mainly they're love songs, like Beautiful Girl and Never Tears Apart. Like those are really, really good songs. I like Sigur Rós. Sigur Rós is an amazing band. REM, Radiohead. Yeah, and then just stuff like that. Yeah, Radiohead's good. But how can I forget the 90s? I'm the hugest nut of the 90s. Like Toad the Wet Sprocket, Better Than Ezra, Bush, just all of the 90s bands. Yeah, I just love them. It's like that. Cool. The 90s was such a romantic time. It was such a romantic time. Like we'd finished the Cold War. The Cold War was over. We were like, we were in somewhat of a recession, trying to get out because of that, and there was a lot of pissed off kids picking up guitars, and the same thing's happening now with this recession. I mind you, like, and so we're gonna have another surge of good music because there's a lot of pissed off kids picking up guitars. And I've talked to a bunch of musicians about that as well, saying that. But I like this band called Washed Out. They're newer. I like them a lot. And then local bands. I like them all for different reasons. I have a different attachment to them. So yeah, like you can't say that I don't even say like this is my best friend or that's my best friend. I have like friends, so I have bands as well. Right. So yeah, totally.
Cool.
Yeah.
So being a photographer, you use social networking tools like Facebook a fair bit. What would you say is kind of the advantage of that?
Shameless self-promotion. Like if your name gets mentioned on anything, you just URL it and post it right up on Facebook and say, I was mentioned in one part of this article. Look at me. It's great it's great. I think that I don't know how they did it back then. Word spread harder a little like back then. Word spreads faster now. Like, for example, like, I was totally shocked and amazed when I decided to create a Skrastins photographic fan page on Facebook.
Yeah.
And I started it on a Friday, and I said, okay, guys, by the end of the weekend, let's go for a goal of 100 fans. And by the end of, by Sunday evening, I had 300 fans. And I couldn't, and then by Monday morning I had like 315. I just couldn't believe that many people were like fans of my work, and that how people wouldn't have been able to see my work without social networking websites.
Mm-hmm.
And I utilize them because I think that they're the new way of promotion. Like back then. Back in the day, like, you had to pay for your promotion. You had to put an ad in Fast Forward magazine for this much money. But now, all you have to do is just make a Facebook page or make a Facebook group to promote your event or band, and then you're there. I think that there are some pitfalls to it, and there are some bonuses as well. But that's with everything, right? So, like, yeah. But social networking sites are very useful, very, very useful.
What would you say is the downside of social
media? Too much exposure. Too much exposure, because I know that my grandfather, my dad's dad, would probably be just shaking his head right now, saying you shouldn't say so much about yourself, Keith. So you shouldn't say so much about yourself, and he'd probably be watching me doing this right now, going shaking his head. But he's a very quiet, private man. But
right, okay.
But I think too much exposure and too many people knowing who you are, because that can be a bad thing as well. But we live in this whole world where everyone wants to be famous. And now with all of these social networking sites, we have the ability to almost become famous. Right. Or like, we're one step away from famous. Like, look at that Numa guy, or that Star Wars kid with the broomstick. Or like that. Like, yeah. Did he kill himself? I heard they killed himself.
Really?
I think the Star Wars kid killed himself.
I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, that's just weird. Like, I heard that. I was like, wow. That's like morbidly.
No kidding.
Like, yeah, well, you shouldn't have done that, right? Like that's a pitfall right there. Like, you may say or do something that you don't like someone doesn't like.
That's true.
That may not look good on you. Like, I said the other day I made a wall post saying that the downfall of I don't mean this wholeheartedly. I was just saying this as like a food for thought kind of thing. Was the downfall of photography was the introduction of the affordable DSLR. Because, like I was saying earlier, anyone can stick their hand in a camera box and say, I'm a photographer.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying it's a downfall of photography per se. I'm just saying the whole idea of working towards building your craft and allowing yourself to evolve as an artist, not just to instantly say I am one. You know what I mean?
We do find that in the recording industry a fair bit as well. You know, because you have money, you set up a studio. And
well, dude, I got GarageBand, so you better watch out, okay?
Uh-oh. I've got some competition now.
Yeah.
Because everyone knows all my tracks are GarageBand.
And do you know what? It'll be KAW. Kilowatt Audio Workstation.
Oh, no.
Or Keith Audio Workstation. Right there. Well, this has gone by good. I've almost finished my whole Americano.
Well,
so let's keep going. I got some energy now. Let's go.
Very good. So your Facebook page, you have 300 fans, you said?
I think it's like 350.
That's pretty impressive.
350 in less than a week.
I'm still sitting at 40.
Really? Well, I gotta link you to mine then.
Yeah.
And hey, well, my personal fan page, Keith Skrastins, only has 42.
Right. Okay.
So it looks like they like the art, not the guy.
No, you might have a point there.
I gotta update it.
I guess whether any type of art, you kind of have to market it as some kind of brand, and that seems to work better.
I get people say I seem to say that I'm good at branding, and I like to know what it is I've done to brand myself so well, because I just have showed and preached what I do. I've allowed my work to show for it.
Yeah.
I've allowed people to. I just speak the truth when I'm speaking about what I care about and love, and maybe that's my branding, the honesty.
Consistency is always a huge part of it. I find it's one of those elements. What sort of services do you offer musicians? Let's talk a bit about that.
Okay, I have a package for show photos, jam photos, press promo photos, and album art photos. and I do all of that. I don't do much graphic, but there's on the odd occasion I will do graphic. But I mainly like to stick to photographic, and if like whatever photo needs the band needs, I'm there. Like if they need me to take a photo of them playing their show, I'll do it. If they need me to take a photo of them loading their truck up with gear for fun, then I'll photograph it.
Right.
And I'll do promo photos and stuff like that. I really am into the promo photos. I like the promo photos, press kit photos. I've showed up on a few press kits actually for a lot of bands, and I really like the fact that they use my work to present themselves to other forms of the industry, like whether it be radio stations or venues, like using my artwork to portray them,
right?
To show them. So that says a lot. That if they're willing to take my artwork that I made of them and give it to someone else and say, here, like you know what I mean, like, and that says a lot. That really says a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah. So but anything photographic you want, I will do.
Oh.
And any amount of time as well. Like I take the time to do it. Like you and I have been having an ongoing photo shoot for the last year. So
that's true.
So yeah, or is it 2 years? 2 years.
Possibly 2 years.
Yeah, okay, yeah, we've had an ongoing photo shoot for that long. Yeah, yeah. So it's good to see the bands grow. It's good to see the bands grow. And my only whole thing on this is that, as well for the scene, if what we got to do is like, and what I noticed in this scene as well, more than anything, is that we're not pushing each other away, saying, no, I want to get up to the front. I want to get up to the front type thing. We're working together to get up to the front together.
Right.
And like almost like this whole huge package that we like give to the door, to the main. Like, no, I hate to say mainstream music, but like, okay, the world stage or the national or international stage, we're all signing together. We're not just one band saying, okay, come on guys, come with me.
Yeah.
Right. So no, that's a good thing. So Calgary will get noticed eventually. Like it's Vancouver has had a turn, Montreal, Toronto's had its turn. Even Halifax and St. John's are having their turn right now.
Even Winnipeg, for that matter.
Even Winnipeg, yeah, I forgot about that one. Yeah, so pretty soon we'll have our turn.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
What would you say is some of the challenges of being a photographer, especially in this scene?
Being everywhere at once.
Yeah.
No. One of the challenges of being a photographer in the scene, standing out, against the rest.
Right.
Standing out against the rest. You have to really promote yourself. And some may call it ego. Some may call it pretension. Whatever. But it's if you don't believe in what you're doing, then people aren't going to believe in what you're doing either.
Yeah.
So you have to have belief, self-belief, not ego, self-belief in what you do, and then you will stand out against the rest, and then you'll be able to have that moment, and you won't be able to you won't have that many problems, or stumbling blocks.
That's good.
Yeah, which that's the only real stumbling block, is making yourself noticed, like that, and producing quality work at the same time. Like anyone with in the digital age can produce quantity. I could fire off 500 photographs, no problem. But when I fire off 50 of them and keep 5 of them, then yeah, that's what I do, and so yeah. And some people are surprised when they see the viewing disc that I send to them. They're like, there's only 80 on here. Yeah, I said that's all we needed. Like we got what we wanted.
Yeah.
I didn't have to fire off another 100 of them or 800 of them.
Right.
We got what we wanted. So yeah, I'm noticing this old Mac tower. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, the G3.
I love it.
I guess that was our server for a while. It's not
even as hard floppy disk on it. That's insane.
Still got the floppy.
Nice. Okay, sorry man, I got sidetracked there.
No.
Any other questions?
That's all good. Well, I think actually that pretty well wraps it up for today. Do you have any final remarks?
Final remarks. Okay, I don't know. You'll put all the links and stuff to my Facebook.
Well, that was actually my next question. I mean, if there are any other people out there that want to reach you, how could they get in touch?
You can reach me at skrastinsphotographic@gmail.com. SKRASTINS PHOTOGRAPHIC PHIC@gmail.com.
Right. And I'll try to get all the links and everything in the show notes.
Excellent.
So you can see Keith's work.
Yeah, and so just enjoy photography, enjoy art. If you take photos, that's awesome. If you don't, if you just enjoy them, and just enjoy art, just enjoy art.
Right.
And maybe one day, David and I will talk on here again about how I became an artist,
That's right.
an artist on a whole. So let's hope for that, and live life at a low ISO, and enjoy it. Thank you guys. Cheers.
Yeah, thanks a lot for being on the podcast.
Cheers, buddy.
All right. You just heard my interview with photographer Keith Skrastins. I just want to send out a special thanks again to Keith for being on the podcast. Your insights are much appreciated. Again, I was feeling a little less than 100% that day, as I mentioned earlier in the episode, and that's why I couldn't pronounce photography. But I'm feeling a lot better now, so things are going good. Make sure to leave some comments in the show notes. I'm going to try to get all the links and everything up there. And this is how you get there. You go to www.daw-music.com and then click on the podcast button, and that'll bring you to the podcast blog, which has a whole bunch more information about the podcast. I've been thinking about moving this to a bi-weekly format, but considering how busy I am, I think I'm just thinking out loud right now. We'll just keep on trucking, keep on releasing more episodes, and we'll see possibly in the future if it's looking plausible to release new podcasts bi-weekly. And I must apologize, this podcast was intended for April, but it's coming out in May because I had to edit it, and haven't had time to get around to that for a few days here. But I hope you enjoyed this episode, and make sure you tune in next time. Thanks. You've been listening to the David Andrew Interviews and Music Business Podcast, broadcasting from Calgary, Alberta, Canada.